Hello, everyone. This week, we're going to look at another element of balanced literacy, and that would be writing workshop or writer's workshop. In week one, we talked about the 4 instructional contexts for writing, which was shared writing, interactive writing, guided writing, and independent writing. Well, writer's workshop is independent writing. But in that independent writing is where you will see things that you have taught in shared writing, things you've discussed in interactive writing, and in guided writing. So this gives those students independent practice at writing. Now, first of all, in Writer's Workshop, the first thing that we want children to do is write. We want them to get their thoughts onto paper. The first thing is not to point out their errors and correct it, because if we do that, then they're going to perceive themselves as a non-writer. I can't do this. It's not right. So we have to build up their confidence that, yes, you are a writer. Look what you can do. You wrote that. You can read it. In Writer's Workshop, it usually begins with a mini lesson of some sort. Then the children go back to their independent writing, which they may or may not incorporate the mini lesson into the writing for that day. And it's perfectly okay if they do not. So let me repeat. We have the mini lesson, independent writing. While the students are independently writing, the teacher's job is to conference with students about their writing. And again, we want them to tell us about their writing before we start instructing. We end Writer's Workshop with a sharing time, and it might be of someone that incorporated the mini lesson, or it might just want to be work that we want to spotlight for that day. In week 7, you have some examples of Writer's Workshop that you need to view for K2, and then you have videos for 3-6. And remember that the purpose of Writer's Workshop is to get them to independently write. This week, your discussion forum talks about looking at a writing sample of a student. What does the student do well? What skills and strategies does the student have under control? Is the student able to write letters? Or do they write numbers? Or are they just scribbling? Does the student have directionality? Is the student able to write beginning letters of words or ending letters of words? Or does the student only use letters in his or her name when writing? Is the student able to write a complete idea? Is the student able to have a topic sentence? Do they use linking words in their writing? Does the writing have a conclusion? Now, in Ohio, in our standards, students have to be able to produce a writing in 3rd grade that, one, is an opinion. They have to produce an informative writing of some type and a narrative writing of some type. Also, as you analyze this writing sample, what would be your next step in teaching for this student? If you had to pick one teaching point, what would it be and why? Now, if you are in the lab portion, you may choose to analyze your student's writing sample instead. Please upload it to this forum in addition to your post if that's what you choose to do. Okay, now where is this writing sample coming from that you're going to be using here if you're not using the lab students? Right here are the writing samples. If you have questions, please ask about Writer's Workshop. Also, in About the Authors by Katie Woodray with Lisa Cleveland, Chapter 4 is how our youngest writers use the writing process to help them make books. That is an excellent chapter to look at, as well as Chapter 5, looking closely at mini lessons. Just remember, in Writing Workshop, we want the students to write first, then we teach. Again, if you have questions, please ask me.